Hey everyone, my name is Morgan and today I'm going to be talking about my recent cruise review sailing on Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas. This cruise was back in March of 2023, so just about a month ago, and I just wanted to dive into everything from planning to the ship overall, to the crew experience, to the food, you name it. I'm going to be very chatty, very in-depth. So if you have a minute or like quite a few minutes and you want to get a full review on everything, please stick around so you can hear the inside scoop about our most recent cruise. Okay, so if you're new, my name is Morgan and I live in New York and I enjoy traveling. I talk about being gluten-free. I'm a military spouse, work from home, that kind of thing. So welcome if you're new here. I never intended for this to be an exclusively cruise channel. I know that that's what my most recent videos and some from even last year have been. I love cruising and that's definitely something that we enjoy doing via travel under the travel umbrella, but that's definitely not what I expect the bulk of my content moving forward to be. I don't have a cruise planned after this actually. So yeah, just wanted to give that disclaimer that there are tons of great exclusive cruise channels that probably have way more variety in terms of, you know, the different types of cruises and destinations and things like that. So definitely go and check those out. But if you're looking for a overview of Anthem of the Seas or an experience on Royal Caribbean or an experience as a cruiser without kids. It was just my husband and I, so we don't have any kids. We didn't go with anyone else. You can stick around and hear what I have to say. So I'm going to be breaking this down into different categories. Like I said, it'll be very chatty, but I talk pretty quickly, so hopefully you're not bored or you can skip through to different sections if you don't really care about others. So kicking it off, our planning and booking of this cruise. So we went on Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas. The ports, I think it was called Perfect Day in Bahamas. We left out of Bayonne, New Jersey, or Cape Liberty, I think they call it, New Jersey. We booked this cruise on Black Friday. So we went and booked it on Black Friday of 2022, and then our cruise was March 2023. So this is our second cruise that we've done together as a married couple. I have cruised a ton growing up. That's pretty much how my family vacationed growing up. So I've done Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Disney, Princess, Celebrity. I think that's probably the ones that I've done. But we've done, both of our cruises have been Royal Caribbean. So the one we went on previously was a European cruise, so left out of Rome, and we went to the Greek islands on a much smaller ship. We went on a Brilliance ship, so it was much smaller, totally different vibe than this one in basically every way. So that is kind of my comparison as of recent, because like I said, the other cruises I was like growing up, teenager, child, so they're a little bit different experience, but we have done two cruises one year after the other. I think we ended up paying our cruise fare for two. Just the cruise fare and gratuities was about $2,000. And I think we did have like $100 credit from like our last one somehow. So it would be like $2,100 around there for the 7-night cruise that we booked. So to give you just a estimate on cost, that's what the cruise fare with gratuities was. We don't buy the drink package. We were in a balcony room. Yeah, I'm a gold status member on Crown and Anchor, so those are kind of the parameters that you can imagine. Booking was really easy, booked it directly on the website. I don't use a travel agent just because I enjoy planning travel myself. We travel quite a bit, so I feel pretty well versed in terms of like making sure I'm checking all the proper websites, getting the best deal. I call to price adjust if needed. I check the price every single day after we book our cruise just so I can get any price adjustment if needed. So we didn't use a travel agent, booked direct on the website. I did get one price adjustment, so that $2,100 is with that price adjustment, and it wasn't that much. I think I found the lower cost by like $30 or something. But hey, $30, that's like 2 drinks. So of course I'm gonna get that price adjusted. Decided on this itinerary because it went out of New Jersey. So we live, like I said, in New York. So it's only like an hour-ish drive, hour and a half drive to the port. So we decided to drive to the port. They have a parking structure there. It's like the only place I think you can park. So it's very clearly marked. It's about $25 a day. Very safe. We're in the structure. I'm pretty sure it was exclusively cruise passengers. You can walk right to the port. It's very, very easy. That port is not busy at all. That we were the only ship there. I don't even know if they can hold many other ships, but we were the only ship there. We picked like an 11 a.m. boarding time, which was perfect for us. And it was a very seamless getting on board process. We only waited in the queue for maybe 10 minutes after like going through the initial security line. So porters were there, took the bags. We had our carry-ons. We carried on water and wine, and they were fine. They knew, all the different regulations. So all of that went really well. So definitely a very popular ship for families, but there was a very diverse age group. We even saw a lot of young couples without kids as well. So really great group. I guess that was one thing that was kind of intimidating to us first getting on, was the amount of people, just because our ship last year was it was called Brilliance of the Seas, and it was so much smaller. And also cruising in 2021, there was just less people cruising, especially on a Europe itinerary in May, like it was somewhat off season. So coming from that to this huge ship, spring break, tons of families leaving out of the US was very different. And you can just tell the crowd was very different from our previous ship, because the Europe itinerary we were like some of the youngest. I think there was a few kids on there, but we were like some of the youngest people. It was mostly like older couples or like empty nesters, or maybe people cruising without their kids kind of thing. So I guess getting adjusted to the crowd was a little bit interesting, just because I didn't have the right expectations, and that was on my part. Moving on to just the ship and our room. I had been on Oasis in 2015, and then Brilliance was the one after that. So I went from a huge ship to a small ship to then this Anthem. I don't really know is it Quantum? I don't know the classes of ships, but it was Anthem. It was very big, but it also wasn't their biggest. So the ship looked very modern, looked pretty new. They kept it very clean. I felt like it was well maintained. I liked the big like promenade or whatever that area is in the middle. That was really cool. Definitely had a lot of eating venues, both paid and non-paid. They didn't have a bunch of outdoor activities for the kids, like no big slides or anything. They did have like 3 pools, I think 2 indoor, 1 outdoor, and one of those is the Solarium adults pool. They did have a rock wall. They have the Seaplex, which is like the roller rink / basketball / they do a bunch of stuff in that sportsplex kind of area that's inside. Did I say bumper cars? Yeah, they have bumper cars in there. So that's kind of the main like recreation space for kids, I would say. And that was always popular, which was nice because it was chilly when we left out of New Jersey. So having a lot of stuff inside was really nice. Our room was a balcony room. I already forgot the room number, but we were on the 11th floor, unobstructed. The room was fine. I guess in terms of noticeable like dating of the ship, I guess the room was the most noticeable that I've thought throughout the whole week. Not that it was poorly maintained, but you could just tell the age a little bit more, especially in the bathroom, like in the shower, like peeling of like the paint or something, or The furniture just had like corners that were worn, but nothing was like unacceptable or dirty or anything like that. And actually the room I would categorize as the dirtiest that we saw, which is not even that dirty, but like sheets were clean, it was fine, but it just didn't seem like they vacuumed before we came or something. And like my husband's really specific about floors. Like he doesn't like walking barefoot if the floor is like visibly dirty. And of course we could have asked them to come and vacuum for us, but like we aren't the people that really do that. We know that they would be happy to, but we just don't feel like we should bother them with that. And I was like, honestly, they'll probably come the next day and vacuum. Like he was probably just busy flipping the rooms. Like that's the craziest day, is like when one group gets off and one group gets on. So I'm like, really, I'm just gonna have grace for this guy. Like it's not a big deal. But I guess that would be our one like complaint or gripe with the room, was that the floors just felt a little not very clean. But again, not anything too much to worry about. The balcony was great. It seemed very large. You can hear everything next door on the balcony. Like we had, I think, a mom and kids on one side, and like the kids would be on the balcony, and we can like straight up just, we're like in their conversation. So that was a little awkward, but for the most part, didn't have any issues with the room. All right, so overall, from our first few categories, planning and booking and boarding, I would rate it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. The ship overall, I would rate it like an 8. Our room, probably like 7.5, 8 as well. So pretty high scores. Yeah, that covers our first few topics there in terms of rating and reviews. Like I said before, we didn't book the drink package. We do enjoy drinking socially, or whatever you want to call it, but we're not heavy drinkers. Like we don't always have a drink in our hand. And I know that that is sometimes people, when they're on vacation, that's what they're going for. If that is the case, then maybe the drink package is for you. But for us, we will drink at meals and maybe like one in between a meal, but we're not like always at the bar. We did bring 2 bottles of wine for our room, or whatever you want to say. So you are allowed to bring on 2 bottles if you have 2 adults in a stateroom, I think it is. So that saved us some money. You can just get wine glasses from wherever. And then I did buy the soda package because I am a Dr. Pepper, Coke Zero kind of girl. So that was really nice that I bought that. And then I also bought the coffee card because I am a specialty coffee girl as well. So I think those things were both great purchases. Definitely got our use out of the soda cup. I was the only one who got it. My husband didn't get it. He's not like a soda drinker, but we always filled it up with water. We also brought some water bottles, which was great, helped with the experience of not having to always be having like cups of water that they give out. So those are some extras that we bought that I am glad we purchased. In terms of ship activities, coming from cruising years ago, like I'm talking 10 plus years ago, as a child, I always remembered cruises having a ton of activities. Whether or not that was the case, again, like I was really young, so my memory might not be the best, and like my perception of cruises were probably a little different back then. But I remember, yes, having activities in like the kids teen club, but also like with my mom out on the ship, I felt like we were always doing stuff. And the most recent cruises from last year and this year, I just didn't feel like that was the case. I don't know if they are doing less activities, or if as a kid you think you're doing way more than you are. But I guess that was a little bit of a disappointment, is that we were like bored some of the times, which is like such a stupid problem to have on vacation, because you should just be relaxing. You shouldn't need like constant stimulation, entertainment all the time, I guess. But like I said, we're not ones to really just like lay out with a drink. Like that's not really my preferred way of vacationing, especially because the pool decks were crazy with all the kids and everything. So it wasn't like something that we wanted to go and like fight for chairs. So I wish that there was a little bit more activity, organized activity. We did like every trivia under the sun, which they did have a ton of trivia, but it's like you can only take so much trivia in a week. So that got a little bit mundane. I love bingo, but bingo is very expensive now on cruises. Again, that is something that I have very vivid memories of growing up doing bingo with my mom and brother and everyone, and it was so fun, and we would all have a card. And I actually have won a free cruise on bingo when I was 17, so I wasn't even old enough to claim it. My mom had to claim it. But I just remember that being a lot more attainable to do as a family, but now it's like, oh my gosh, I think our cheapest package was like $40 or something for like one strip of cards. And then you had to pay for the little dabber, bingo dabber, which I did not do. I thought it was a sham. I just used a highlighter. But so there was some bingo, and then there was the occasional shows in the evening, like the Love and Marriage and Battle of Sexes and things like that, which got booked so quick. Not booked, but just the seating. There was like no seating, even if you went a little early. So it just felt like the activities that they did have were so popular in the evenings, at least, that like, well, even trivia, actually, now that I think about it, the trivia, unless you showed up like literally 20 minutes early to the schooner bar or the different venues, you could not find a seat for trivia. Like it was so booked. And I think that that just shows that really like they could benefit from more organized activity. So that is like a gripe that I guess I had, is that I wish they had a more variety throughout the day and night for activities, because the few activities that they did have were so crowded that it just like almost wasn't enjoyable. When on Brilliance a year ago, like there was tons of open seats for trivia, and like getting a seat at Love and Marriage was so easy, or Battle of the Sexes was I was having like front row seats and we walked in like maybe 5 minutes before kind of thing. So just such a different experience, with it being like way more crowded. People are really wanting activity, they're really wanting things to do. So it did feel a little impacted, which was kind of sad, because I do really like the activities on the cruise ships and I love the cruise staff. So I would say that was something that I was a little bit disappointed with. Performances, I guess you should say, those were not as busy, but to us those are not as desirable. So we would much rather go to like a fun game show than like watch Nashville tenors or what, like their little country band or something. So that's just not our thing. We did sit through half of We Will Rock You just because it felt really long. And like, again, we're not like big performance type of people. So we only sat through half of that, but that was really good. The performance value, I think, is very good, but it's just not our thing. All right. I'm being very chatty. Thanks for subscribing if you are a subscriber, and if you're not, please subscribe, because now I feel like we're actually building a community and I get to actually target people who want to hear from me, which is so nice. And again, I really am chatty in the comments. I'm chatty through the community space. So if you have recommendations for videos, throw them at me, because I'm sitting here, you know, thinking like, well, I'm going to pack for my next trip, because that's the kind of video that I like filming, is packing videos. But if you have any other ideas for videos, I would love to hear them. And I'll include like little clips from our trip here, but mostly I very much posted Instagram Reels and then YouTube Shorts. So you can go and see some cruise content there that was actually like on the vacation. But yeah, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you sticking this far through. So moving on, I guess I can talk about ports. So the ports that we did 3 ports. So we went from Jersey, we went to Port Canaveral, Florida, and then we went to Nassau, and then we went to Perfect Day, and then we came back. So only 3 port days, which looking back, I don't think that I would choose a cruise like that again, just because we were like twiddling our thumbs on the ship days, which I think we had 3 ship days, which isn't, yeah, just like wasn't our preference to have that, but it was a good deal. It was the right dates for us, so we booked it. And we still had a great time, but just now moving forward, I know that I want to book something with a little less sailing days. So in Port Canaveral, we were really stuck on what to do because that's not like a big destination for us. We go to Orlando every year for Disney. So we've been in the area many times, but we were like trying to save money, like not really spend a lot of money on that port, but we wanted to do something because we definitely wanted to get off the ship at that point. So randomly last minute, we decided to go to SeaWorld, which is like totally not our style. But my husband's active duty military, and a little hack, I guess, for military families is SeaWorld gives you like, I don't know if it's like 4 or 6, don't quote me, but you can get free tickets to SeaWorld. And I think it's called like Waves of Honor or something as the program. But so we got 2 free tickets to SeaWorld, and then they had a bus excursion that you could take that was like $30 a person, or so really we spent like $60 going to SeaWorld, which is a pretty good deal. I have not been to SeaWorld in years. I'm from the San Diego area, so I've been to SeaWorld San Diego many times as a child. Like we would go field trips there and things like that, but I do not advocate for animals in captivity. That's not something that, again, I would spend money to go do now, but it was free, so we weren't technically supporting SeaWorld, you know? And it was just something to do, fun, that we haven't done before. So I went to SeaWorld. Honestly, it was not that great. I guess comparing it to Disney, it was not that great. But I know it's not Disney, so I can't hold it to that standard. But a lot of stuff was like shut down. I don't know why, like food places and activities and things. It just kind of felt run down, which is not what I remember from SeaWorld in San Diego. But yeah, just a little interesting. We didn't like go see a ton of animals either. We did like a few rides, walked around, got like a slushie. We did see the sea otter show or something. And then we got back on the bus. So it was the perfect amount of time. I'm glad that we didn't spend any more time there because it would have been like really boring, honestly. But yeah, it was fine. I'm glad we got off. I'm glad we got to go do something. And I'm glad it cost not a ton of money. The next day we were in Nassau, which was actually really fun. I've been to Nassau one other time back in 2015 when I was on Oasis of the Seas, and we did do Atlantis, 18 at that point. It was like so fun, and I was with my brother, and we went on all the rides and the pools, and it was just like a great time. The restaurants there were really cool. Definitely for that time, it was worth it. I asked my mom, I was like, how much did you spend on tickets however many years ago, almost 9 years ago? She's like, I have no idea. But looking at tickets on the cruise planner for this trip, it was like $200 a day per person to go to Atlantis. I don't think that would be worth it. It's a cool place. Had a lot of fun when I went, but we for sure didn't spend $200 per person on that. So yeah, I don't know if I would do that now. We did book an excursion. I call it the booze cruise, but it definitely was not called the booze cruise on the cruise planner, but it was like a 1-hour harbor cruise or something with open bar. And it was so fun. That was definitely a highlight of our trip, was this excursion at Nassau. I don't remember who the company name was. If I end up finding it, I'll put it somewhere in the video or down below. but the company was great. Getting off the ship and getting to the excursion was a little bit messy because like lining up for excursions out in Nassau is always kind of chaotic. So that was the only like little annoyance, is that we were standing outside for kind of a while waiting to just like go on the excursion, but the people were there. They found who we were supposed to be with, you know, like that was organized, but it was just like waiting around for a while with like no real reason of why we were waiting around. So that was the only hiccup there, but it was so fun. So they took us, we literally just walked from the ship a little bit of ways to where we would get on our little catamaran thing. We got on the catamaran. It was a really, I didn't know that this was a catamaran, but maybe it was, but it was just this really big boat, but it was like seating around. It wasn't like the net thing like you've seen on like the snorkel excursions. It was a fully bottomed boat, I guess. And it was so fun. They took us around the harbor. They narrated it, and like these Bohemian tour guides were just so funny, very entertaining. You know, we were pointing out all the monuments. They were pouring those drinks, and who knows how much alcohol or what alcohol were in these things. They kept pouring Bahama Mamas. They did have a open bar, so I just got like a tequila Sprite or something, and I am pretty safe with tequila most of the time, so you could order other things, but they were pouring them and pouring them. So nice. And after our little excursion, which was the perfect amount of time, because I hate when you're like locked in an excursion all day, and if you don't like it, it's like the worst thing. So I love that it was just little boat ride, fun time, and then you can get off. And then we actually went to the little port of Nassau. Right past Senior Frogs is, I think it's a Hilton, beach club. And we tried to get resort for a day passes for this beach club, but they were sold out online, so they said. And so we just were like, well, let's just walk up and see if they really are sold out. So we walked up and met the lady at the gate, and she was like, yeah, for two, like, come on in. There was no one there. There was maybe like two other couples, but I don't know if it was like after the other ships had to go back to their ship, but we were there until like 7 p.m. Like our ship was there pretty late. So by this point it was maybe like 2 after we were done with our catamaran. Yeah, like 2 or 2:30. And there was like no one there. There was tons of sunbeds. She even said at the gate, she's like, you know, typically we charge extra for the beds, but she was like, just go, like no one's there, just you can lay there. So we got a really nice sunbed lounger thing. You also get a drink ticket, so we had another free drink, which their drinks were great. You can go up to the bar and order. I didn't get in the water because I'm not a big water gal, but my husband got in the water. He loved it. It was a protected beach right there by the port, so we could literally see the ship. It wasn't going anywhere. I don't remember how much it cost for us both to get in there. I want to say it was like $70. It was definitely under $100. And I know some of the other beach clubs in Nassau were well over $100 a day, like Margaritaville. We could see Margaritaville, and it looked fun, but we weren't going to pay $100 a person for that. Nassau was definitely a fun day. There was no one there. We had our free drink, and then it's actually hooked up to like some hotel. I don't know if it's still the Hilton or what it was that beach club was hooked to, but I don't know if we were allowed to go to the pool, but they had a little gate next to the hotel into the neighboring hotel that had a really nice infinity pool. And like I said, there was like no one there. There was a few people in the pool from that hotel, but we were like, no one's stopping us from getting over here. So we just went to the neighboring hotel after we were done with our little beach time and went and hung out in the pool. And it was like so nice, very peaceful. They had little showers outside for like rinsing off from the beach, but it was just like very chill. I think it was such a benefit that our ship was there later than the other ones, because while we were going to the port, you know, towards Senior Frogs, everyone else was going back to the ship. So I definitely liked that we were there a little later and we were the last ship in port, because there were 4 ships in port that day, which I know it can get really busy. in Nassau. So that was really nice that we just got a little taste of the harbor cruise, and then we got to go to the port area. We did go to the straw market, shopped around. That was a lot of pressure. That was not, I hate being like pestered when we're shopping like that in port, but we did like buy a magnet and something else. So yeah, it was cool to go to the straw market, but definitely was just like interesting. But those people have to make a living. Like, I understand why they want to push the product. I'm not upset at that. I just don't like being pestered. So we catamaran, I would say like probably almost 10 out of 10 for the catamaran. Yeah, I would say like 10 out of 10 for the catamaran. Great value for the money. And I know a lot of people poo-poo on Nassau as a cruise port, and that was definitely not our experience. So glad we did what we did. You can book this resort that we went to on Resort a Day. I really forgot the name, but if I remember it, I'll put that somewhere too. But yeah, just fun day in Nassau. All right, and now Coco Cay. This is our first time at Coco Cay. That was our last port of the ship, of the cruise, I mean. Neither of us had been there before. It was a little windy when we got there, but I've heard that that is the case for Coco Cay. We had booked a kayak and snorkel cruise on Black Friday as well, and it was literally like $30 a person on our sale that we got. And after that, I saw it went up to like $90 a person, which I would not have paid for if that was the cost. But we found a really good deal on the cruise planner for this little excursion. So definitely recommend checking that out every so often to book deals. But we got off right at 8 o'clock. It was so nice. We got to pick any spot we wanted to on Coco Cay before our excursion. We did sit by the pool a little bit when it was empty, and then we went to South Beach. It was empty, and then we had to go to our excursion, the kayaking excursion. However, when we got to the kayak shack or whatever, they were like, oh, it's way too windy, like we're canceling it, too dangerous, we're canceling it. And we're like, okay, like we can't do anything about it. Like, disappointing, because I was excited to go on a kayak, but it was very windy, like white cap kind of wind. But we also had the snorkel portion to the excursion, and they said you're still welcome to like pick up snorkel gear. So again, I'm not like a big ocean person for like getting on the water, but my husband was really excited, so he did go and snorkel. He said it was windy, but like it was still like he felt safe. He's a strong swimmer, and there was other people snorkeling in the area. There were still the lifeguards out there. So he had a great time, and they refunded us for the kayak because it was canceled. So that wasn't like a huge deal either. We ate at the normal, I don't know what it's called, like the grill or something. We ate there for lunch, and I have a gluten allergy, and they were able to accommodate just fine. I found actually our maitre d', and he like prepared something for me. So he gave me like a gluten-free bun on a hamburger and like gluten-free fries, and it was great. So that was another good day. It did rain midday, but I heard that happens all the time on Coco Cay, so I was almost expecting it, but it only rained for a little bit and then it blew over. We did get some drinks on Coco Cay, just laid out the rest of the day. That was really fun. Yeah, no real complaints here about Coco Cay. I would rate that like 8.5, just because the weather was like not fun for some of it, but I mean, there's not much they can do about that. Otherwise, it was great. There was one other ship with us in port. Wasn't terribly busy. I think the rain scares off a lot of people too. So just if you can stick it out while it's raining, I would, because it clears out a little after the rain. But I would definitely get on early to Coco Cay because the pool especially fills up. And yeah, so those are the ports. We've gone through a lot. Ports I would rate overall like an 8 out of 10, I guess. Yeah, I would rate it all three together like an 8 out of 10. We knew what we were like booking basically, so I'm not like too disappointed, but I know some people like don't even get off the ship at Nassau or Port Canaveral. But I don't know why you would book a cruise if you weren't going to do those, in my opinion. So I thought it was fine. All right, long-awaited food review. So again, this is a very chatty video. Thanks a lot for sticking along. If you're looking for the food portion and you just skipped all the way here, that's fine. You're welcome to watch and catch up here. So food, like I said, we booked a 3-night dining package. We got it for $112 a person on the cruise planner, which pretty good deal. Yeah, $112 a person. That sounds right. Pretty good deal. And then I bought a Jamie's Italian lunch on a special deal on the cruise planner. So that was only like $15 a person for that, which was a great deal. So we got to experience all 4 specialty restaurants. We had set 8 o'clock dining on the other days. Like I said earlier, I do have a gluten allergy. I have celiac disease. I emailed them beforehand, like you're supposed to the special needs email to notify your reservation that you have an allergy. So I did that. And then on the first night in the main dining room, of course, you tell your waiter and the maitre d', and then from there, they'll handle it pretty well. Going on this one, they recently changed the dining room menus, which we knew about. We knew that was like a big controversy, but it was fine. I mean, I don't think that we personally go on cruises for like a culinary experience in the main dining room or at the Windjammer and stuff. So it was fine. Really good about gluten-free, and I can't complain about that. So anytime I can go on vacation and I feel safe eating on vacation, I'm happy. So I do not like the Windjammer, and I didn't like it before going on here, but even after going on here, I'm like, I don't want to go to the Windjammer anymore. I understand for kids and families with kids, that's definitely the easiest, the safest, most efficient. So totally understand why you would want to go to the Windjammer. But for me, it's just like pure chaos and just not sanitary. Like, I know they make you wash your hands beforehand, but like that doesn't stop people from being gross while you're in there. And then the gluten-free selection is just a little bit more hard to get. And I know they have a gluten-free section in the very back of the ship in the Windjammer, and it is like cubes of cheese and like some type of custard or something. So it's really like not great. So Windjammer is fine if that's what you like. You like a lot of variety. You don't mind waiting or like sharing, touching things with people. Or if you just want, if you want something quick even, I don't even know if that's the place to go because it to us, it took a long time. But Windjammer's not our favorite, but that's fine because Anthem had plenty of other things to eat at. So we loved Sorrento's. That was a great option. And for gluten-free, you just order a whole pizza and they'll make it. It takes about 15 minutes, but you can order a whole pizza and we would share that between the 2 of us. And that was great every time we had that. We had that probably 3 or 4 times throughout the cruise. So that was, I would rate that like a 9 out of 10. We loved Cafe 270 in the back of the ship. So that was really good as well. A lot smaller, but they always had some type of gluten-free sandwich. My husband like loved whatever he got there, like sandwiches and stuff there. We're not like super heavy eaters. We'd rather eat like small portions throughout the day. So Cafe 270 was perfect for that. And then we went to the main dining for breakfast sometimes. That was fine. The service was a little slow, but other than that, it was great. Great gluten-free section or options there as well. So that main dining was fine for breakfast. Dinners in the specialty, well, actually lunch at Jamie's was great. That was one of our favorites that we did throughout the cruise. Plenty of food. So I feel like you get a lot of food for the value. I know some people are kind of sad that they think Royal is like skimping on portions, but I didn't find that to be the case, especially with the appetizers and dessert. Like really, I don't eat 3 courses at lunch at home, so definitely was like way more than enough food. So we loved Jamie's, great food there, great service. And then Azumi, my husband loved Azumi. I don't eat fish, so I had like the teriyaki bowl, and they accommodated gluten-free. That was great. I feel like that was pretty good. My husband loved the sushi, thought that was definitely enough food for him as well. Wonderland, I did not enjoy the food just because I'm not an adventurous eater, but it was a really cool experience. So the waiter was really kind, really cool atmosphere, and we had watched videos beforehand, so we were really excited to see the presentation of all the food and the cocktails and things like that. They were able to accommodate gluten-free. It definitely was way more modifications than the other restaurants have to do because Wonderland is just so unique in itself. But he was really great and like made all these different modifications for me to be able to try things, which was really nice. But I just like did not enjoy like the foods. I'm a texture person, and a lot, I would say 90% of that restaurant is like weird textures. So if you're kind of weird about textures as well, maybe that's not the place to go, or maybe just get a drink or something there. But my husband thought it was cool, thought it was great, loved his food. Dessert was definitely the highlight at Wonderland. So yeah, that was Wonderland. And Chops was the final one we did, which definitely really good at Chops. I really liked whatever I got, some type of steak there. I love the atmosphere of Chops. I love like a nice dinner, and that's what it was. We had like, I think we bought a bottle of champagne there because when you have the dining package, you can get like 40% off bottles of wine at dinner, under $100. So that was like super good deal. But yeah, really enjoyed Chops. My husband enjoyed Chops. Out of the 4 restaurants, I think I would rank them Jamie's, Chops, Izumi, Wonderland. So like in that order. I don't know how my husband would rank them. He's more of like an adventurous eater and he's not gluten-free, so his might be a little different, but that was my ranking for sure. And then we also booked a wine tasting for our final sea day, which was one of the activities that we chose to do. It was a little bit more expensive than I thought it would be. I think it was like $45 a person. But like I said earlier, we were like looking for things to do at this point. So that was definitely something that we were interested in at chef's table. So it was a very small environment with just a few other couples. There was one of the maitre d's from Chops, I think, was there explaining all the different wines. He gave us like a little plate of cheese and fruit with it. So he would talk through the wines, we'd sip, we'd, try the cheese. He would tell us what to look for. It was really cool, actually. I think it probably was worth the money. So that was a cool experience, like unexpected. Didn't plan on doing that earlier, but we thought it was really cool. So that was, I guess, an experience highlight that we did on the ship was definitely the wine tasting. And we also played in the casino some. We're not like big gamblers or anything, but we definitely love playing a little roulette. The casino was always crowded. And we're not smokers. I know some people love going to the casino, playing, gambling and smoking, and that's their thing. And that's why they go on cruises even. And if that is your route, then I'm glad because there was a lot of it. But if you're not a smoker, or if you just want to like try a game or something, it was like really hard to be there because everywhere in the casino was like very heavily smoky, and I don't remember that from our other cruise. And it was really hard to find a spot at the tables because there's like serious gamblers there, and so it was just a little not my favorite. We won some, we lost some. I think we came up like $100 at the end of the week, and we played like maybe 3 times. So it wasn't like bad or anything. It just didn't feel like an enjoyable like Vegas casino kind of thing that we would prefer. I think overall we had a great time. Definitely would book a cruise out of Jersey again. I would cruise on Anthem again. I would go to Nassau again, would go to Coco Cay again. I don't think I'll seek out to go to Port Canaveral again. I thought our room was fine. The crew were great. Their crew are always great. I don't feel like we've experienced anything where the crew on a cruise ship were bad. I think our biggest complaint with the crew was our room steward, which was kind of sad because like we had a superstar room steward on Brilliance. And he was, again, on this one, he was fine. He wasn't anything bad, but I think cruises give me the expectation of like these superstar crew everywhere, and he just was, you could tell he was really like worn down, which I felt really bad. Really worn down, wasn't like super energized, or like his demeanor was just a little down. And I feel bad because I know that they're terribly overworked. They were still doing 2 room cleanings a day when we were on our ship. I know that Royal has backed it down to 1 a day, I believe. So they were still doing twice a day. And he could have just been having like an off week. I don't know. So I don't want to like put any pressure on him for that. But he was fine. Our waiters were great. Guest services were great. Like, we didn't really have any big issues, but like at Izumi, they charged us twice for a bottle of wine on accident. We went to guest services. They figured it out. No questions asked. Like, it was very, like, we didn't have any big issues, and we had a great time. So that was a very chatty review. If you're still here, thanks for sticking around. I would love to continue this conversation down below in the chat. I also would love if you'd subscribe so we can keep having this community together. I'm a big traveler. We're going to Boston in a few weeks, and then I'll be going to California. I'll be going home to California for a few weeks in June. July, we're going to some weddings. August, I don't think we have anything. And then September, I think we're going to Disney, and then we have another wedding. And so there's just a lot going on that I hope to record some behind the scenes packing or planning or anything like that. So I would love to continue creating content with you and for you. I'm very active on Instagram, and I'm also active on YouTube Shorts. So definitely post more on my shorts than I do long-winded videos, because I am very long-winded. So I need to block out like an hour of my day to record something like this. But if this is what is helpful, then I hope to continue. I am excited for you to go on your cruise if you are going on a cruise soon. So best of luck to you. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. But I hope this video was helpful to you, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thanks, everyone.